A small village nestled beside the Indus River. Dust devils dance in the distance. Whispers of Zuhha carry on the wind, a mix of amusement and exasperation. Zuhha's principle: leave today's work for tomorrow and never do tomorrow's work. Translation: postpone today's work, tomorrow's work, never do it. Half-built houses stand as monuments to Zuhha's philosophy. Fallow fields bake under the relentless sun, untended and barren. Broken promises echo like the wind through the skeletal trees. Zuhha, serene, lounges under the oldest banyan tree's shade. A perpetual smile graces his lips, a master of inaction. He believes life is too short for the burden of labor. Close up on Zuhha's relaxed face, eyes closed, peaceful. Villagers pass by, some amused, some infuriated by his laziness. A woman shakes her head, carrying a heavy water pot. A farmer sighs, looking at his unplowed field. Children laugh, mimicking Zuhha's relaxed posture. Zuhha opens one eye, watching the villagers with amusement. He sips from a clay cup, a picture of contentment. The Indus River flows serenely, oblivious to the villagers' woes. A bird lands on a branch of the banyan tree, chirping merrily. Zuhha closes his eye again, drifting back to sleep. The sun beats down on the village, highlighting the unfinished tasks. A dog sleeps at Zuhha's feet, mirroring his laziness. The village well stands dry, a symbol of neglect. Old man Ibrahim watches Zuhha from afar, a worried expression. He shakes his head sadly, muttering to himself. A group of children gather around Zuhha, listening to his stories. Zuhha tells tales of mythical creatures and faraway lands. The children are captivated by his words, forgetting their chores. The camera pans across the village, showing the contrast between work and leisure. Zuhha stretches languidly, enjoying the warmth of the sun. He yawns, a picture of utter relaxation. A fly buzzes around his head, but he doesn't bother to swat it away. The banyan tree provides a cool oasis from the heat. Zuhha's clothes are simple and worn, reflecting his lack of ambition. His sandals are dusty and cracked, evidence of his inactivity. He smiles to himself, content with his chosen path. The villagers continue their daily routines, a stark contrast to Zuhha's idleness. A woman sweeps the dust from her doorstep. A man repairs a broken cartwheel. Children play in the dusty streets, their laughter echoing in the air. Zuhha watches them all, a silent observer of their lives. She believes they are wasting their time with unnecessary labor. She prefers to savor the simple pleasures of life: sunshine, shade, and stories. The camera focuses on Zuhha's face, a hint of mischief in his eyes. She knows that his philosophy is unconventional, but she doesn't care. She is content with her life, even if others disapprove. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the village. Zuhha stirs, preparing to go home for the night. She rises slowly, stretching her limbs. She gathers her few belongings, a clay cup and a worn blanket. She walks towards her half-built house, a smile on his face. The villagers watch her go, a mixture of emotions in their eyes. Old man Ibrahim sighs again, shaking his head. The camera pans up to the sky, showing the stars beginning to appear. The Indus River flows on, a constant presence in the village. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying the sound of Zuhha's laughter. Zuhha's principle lives on, a testament to the power of procrastination. A final shot of the banyan tree, silhouetted against the night sky. The village sleeps, unaware of the challenges that tomorrow may bring. Zuhha dreams peacefully. Untroubled by the worries of the world, Zuhha lounged under the banyan tree, a serene smile on his face, oblivious to the villagers' whispers. The annual monsoon season arrived, dark clouds gathering ominously over the Indus River. Rain lashed down, turning the dusty paths into muddy streams, a sign of the impending flood. Villagers frantically reinforced their homes, piling sandbags against the rising waters. Farmers rushed to protect their fields, building makeshift dams to divert the flow. Zuhha remained unmoved, watching the chaos with detached amusement from her shady spot. She believed the river would provide an insult to doubt its generosity, she mused. The water levels rose steadily, inching closer to the village, a relentless advance. Concern etched on their faces. The villagers glanced nervously at Zuhha's nonchalant figure. Old man Ibrahim, the village elder, approached Zuhha, his voice filled with urgency. "Zuhha, my daughter, the river is rising. We need your help," Ibrahim pleaded. Zuhha chuckled softly, waving her hand dismissively. "Why worry? The river knows best. But our homes, our fields, they will be washed away," Ibrahim exclaimed, desperation in his voice. Zuhha shrugged, her eyes closed. "Worrying is a task best left for tomorrow, or perhaps never." Ibrahim sighed, his shoulders slumping in defeat, knowing Zuhha's stubborn nature. The villagers continued their frantic efforts, their movements a blur against the backdrop of the storm. A young boy pointed towards Zuhha, his face a mixture of anger and disbelief. "She just sits there. Doesn't he care about anything?" the boy cried out. His mother hushed him. "That's just Zuhha, son. She lives by her own rules." The rain intensified, the river swelling into a raging torrent, a force of nature unleashed. The first houses closest to the river began to flood, the water seeping through the cracks. Panic spread through the village, the villagers realizing the severity of the situation. Ibrahim, despite his disappointment, rallied the villagers, his voice booming with authority. "We must work together. We must save our village," he shouted, his words cutting through the storm. The villagers responded with renewed vigor, their determination fueled by desperation. They formed a human chain, passing sandbags to reinforce the weakened areas. Others worked tirelessly to divert the water, digging trenches and building barriers. Zuhha remained under the banyan tree, seemingly oblivious to the chaos around her. She hummed a tuneless melody, her eyes fixed on the swirling waters, a picture of serenity. A small group of villagers glanced at Zuhha with resentment, their faces etched with exhaustion. One of them muttered, "She'll be singing a different tune when the water reaches her." The floodwaters continued to rise, engulfing more and more of the village. The banyan tree, Zuhha's sanctuary, was now surrounded by water, an island in the storm. Zuhha finally stirred, her eyes widening slightly as the water lapped at his feet. She looked around, a flicker of surprise crossing her face, a hint of unease. "Well, this is a bit more exciting than I anticipated," she murmured to herself. The villagers, struggling against the flood, spared a glance at Zuhha's predicament. Some felt a pang of sympathy, while others simply shook their heads in disbelief. The water continued to rise, forcing Zuhha to climb higher into the branches of the banyan tree. She perched precariously on a thick branch, her serene smile replaced by a look of mild concern. The villagers, working tirelessly, began to gain ground, their efforts slowly turning the tide. The water level started to stabilize, the relentless surge finally beginning to subside. Exhausted, But relieved, the villagers looked around at the devastation, a mix of gratitude and weariness. Their eyes turned towards Zuhha, still perched in the banyan tree, a solitary figure. They wondered if the flood had finally shaken her unwavering belief in procrastination. The rain began to ease, the dark clouds slowly parting to reveal a sliver of blue sky. The Indus River, though still swollen, began to recede, its fury gradually diminishing. The immediate danger had passed. The village saved from the worst of the flood. Zuhha, still in the tree, watched the receding waters, a thoughtful expression on her face. She wondered if this event would change her perspective, alter her cherished principle. The villagers started to clean up the debris, repairing the damage caused by the flood. They worked together, their shared experience, forging a stronger sense of community. Old man Ibrahim approached the banyan tree, his eyes fixed on Zuhha. He climbed up the tree, his movements slow but steady, determined to reach his friend. He sat beside Zuhha on the branch, a comfortable silence settling between them. "Well, Zuhha," Ibrahim said softly, "what do you make of all this?" Zuhha smiled, her eyes twinkling. "It seems the river had a bit of a temper tantrum." "And?" Ibrahim pressed, waiting for Zuhha to acknowledge the gravity of the situation. Zuhha paused, then said, "Perhaps a little preparation wouldn't hurt next time." Ibrahim smiled, knowing Zuhha would never fully change, but a small step was still progress. The floodwaters rose, swirling around the base of the ancient banyan tree. Zuhha, still lounging, now found himself paddling to stay afloat. She chuckled, a small, almost nervous sound, as a fish swam past her face. The villagers, a flurry of activity, worked tirelessly to build makeshift dams. Old man Ibrahim directed the efforts, his face etched with worry and determination. She glanced at Zuhha, a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. Zuhha waved back, a serene smile plastered on her face, bobbing in the water. The water level continued to rise, threatening to engulf the entire village. Zuhha grabbed a thick branch of the banyan tree, pulling herself up higher. She watched the chaos unfold below, an observer in her own personal drama. The villagers, using ropes and sandbags, began to divert the floodwaters. Their collective effort slowly started to make a difference, the water receding. Exhaustion lined their faces, but a sense of accomplishment shone through. The floodwaters began to subside, revealing the damage left behind. Mud and debris covered everything, a testament to the river's fury. The villagers surveyed the scene, a mix of relief and weariness in their eyes. Old man Ibrahim spotted Zuhha perched on the banyan tree, safe and dry. She waded towards the tree, her expression unreadable, a sigh escaping her lips. The other villagers followed, curious to see Zuhha's reaction to the near disaster. They gathered at the base of the tree, their eyes fixed on Zuhha above. Zuhha, seeing the crowd, beamed down at them, her smile wider than ever. She cleared her throat and prepared to address her concerned neighbors. "My dear friends," Zuhha began, her voice carrying through the muddy air. "The flood has been a most enlightening experience, a valuable lesson indeed." The villagers exchanged confused glances, unsure of what to expect next. It has proven beyond any doubt that problems like the flood eventually solve themselves. She gestured grandly with her hand, nearly losing his balance on the branch. "Therefore, my principle of procrastination is not just a philosophy, but a truth." Old man Ibrahim shook his head slowly, a weary smile forming on his lips. The villagers chuckled, a mixture of exasperation and amusement in their voices. They knew that Zuhha would never change, her belief unwavering and absolute. "He's incorrigible," muttered one villager, shaking his head with a smile. "But she's our Zuhha," another replied, a hint of affection in his voice. Zuhha continued, oblivious to their reactions, expounding on her principle. "Worrying is a waste of energy, a futile exercise in negativity. Instead, we should embrace the present moment and trust in the natural order." She paused for effect, her eyes twinkling with mischievous delight. "For even the mightiest flood eventually recedes, leaving behind fertile ground." Old man Ibrahim raised his hand, silencing Zuhha's philosophical ramblings. "Zuhha, my friend," he said gently, "we are glad you are safe, but perhaps tomorrow you might consider helping us clean up the village?" Zuhha paused, considering the request, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. She opened her mouth to respond, but then her eyes lit up with inspiration. "Ah, but cleaning up is also a task that can be postponed until tomorrow." The villagers groaned in mock despair, their laughter echoing through the village. Old man Ibrahim sighed, accepting Zuhha's unchanging nature with a smile. They knew that Zuhha would always be Zuhha, a master of procrastination, a living embodiment of the principle she so dearly cherished and defended. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden glow on the scene. The village, though damaged, was still standing, a testament to their resilience. Zuhha, perched on her banyan tree, remained a symbol of blissful inaction. The Indus River flowed peacefully, a silent witness to the day's events. Life in the village would continue, with its share of challenges and triumphs, and Zuhha would continue to live by her principle, unburdened by worry. The villagers began the cleanup, their spirits lifted by the returning sun. They knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but they were ready. Zuhha watched them, a serene smile on her face, content in her philosophy. She closed her eyes, basking in the warmth of the sun, a true believer. The banyan tree stood tall, a silent guardian of the village and its eccentric resident. And so, life went on, in the village where procrastination reigned supreme.